Excellence lives here in northeastern Indiana. It's reflected in more than 200 nationally recognized degrees. It drives our Division I sports. It's alive in our campus life. Excellence has a name, IPFW. Around our campus, around the country, around the world. Excellence lives here. Indiana University, Purdue University, Fort Wayne. One university, two great names.
This is Arts Weekly. Arts Weekly is presented by the College of Visual and Performing Arts at IPFW, offering degrees in fine arts, music, theater, and visual communication and design. IPFW, the energy of the arts.
Welcome, and thank you for tuning in to Arts Weekly. I'm Melinda Haines with the IPFW College of Visual and Performing Arts. Later in the show, we'll chat with Liz Monnier and Ashley Brown about Kegwin and Company's dance performance this weekend. But first, I want to welcome Dr. Vijay Chilakamarri and Don O'Connell to Arts Weekly. IPFW and Shruti have begun an Indian performance series to bring traditional Indian musicians and dancers to our area. The series started last October when they brought classical Indian dancer Rukmini Vijay Kumar to IPFW, and now they are bringing world-renowned musicians Pandit Shivkumar Sharma and Zakir Hussain to perform Maestros in concert Sunday, April 14th. Thank you both so much for being here.
Thanks for having us.
You know,
congratulations on saying all those names.
Yeah, I almost made you a doctor there,
well,
didn't I?
I think the Indian names were pretty good.
You know, if you could tell me about this Indian performance series in general and how it was started.
Yeah, it was, the initial idea started with Chuck O'Connor, the previous dean at the College of Visual and Performing Arts, who left in July, and he had a conversation with Vijay and some other members of the Indian community about how we could merge the resources of the very large Indian community that's in Fort Wayne and the cultural resources that IPFW has in our music facilities and our dance facilities and our theater facilities and our art facilities. And that conversation started last spring, and it was just the initial conversations, and then Vijay has a very talented daughter who had was studying traditional Indian dance in Chicago and was required as part of that program to do a full evening of dance on her own. And so Vijay kind of got the ball rolling, if you will, with his daughter's concert in Reinhardt, and then from there, the first concert, as you mentioned, Rukmini's dance company from India, was the first event in October. So it was started by Chuck and quickly picked up by me and our staff at the Office of the Dean's Office, and this new friendship and new collaboration with the members of the Indian community who make up Shruti.
Well, and you know, can you tell me, what is Shruti? You know, what about the Indian community and what does this organization do?
Well, like he said, when we decided to bring in more Indian cultural events to the campus, we got together with a few of our friends and then formed a group called Shruti, with the focus that we would at least try and bring 2 programs every year, if not more, of world-renowned artists, upcoming artists, of various schools of music and dance that are there in India. And we kind of realized that to do that on a regular basis, we need to be very organized. And you know, based on that concept, slowly it grew up into a robust organization already. It's been in existence for about a year now. And we have a team of very committed group of people who are kind of working very tirelessly, selflessly to get this program going.
So Shruti was really developed out of this partnership to begin with. And
the primary goal was to try and bring in some diversity to the campus from an Indian perspective. The main goal is to actually be part of the growing community at IPFW.
Well, and I think that the artists who we brought in before Rukmini, she is just, it's hard for us to imagine, not knowing a whole lot about Indian culture and tradition, just how famous she is around the world. and so
and the artists we have coming on Sunday
right.
are world-renowned
Yeah.
Indian artists of world caliber talent. And as Vijay was saying, this initiative, while it's only a year old, has really come together quickly. There's a dedicated steering committee. I've been serving as representing IPFW on that steering committee, but the Indian community really has dedicated members who want and it's not just about bringing Indian culture to Fort Wayne. As Vijay said, they're really interested in people understanding what IPFW brings to the community.
Right.
I mean, that was one of the first things they said to me when I met them in July, was that this isn't just about the Indian community. This is about making people understand what a presence IPFW has in our community culturally. This Sunday we have all these people coming to Reinhardt, and in the first one, the dance concert, we have people coming to Reinhardt who have never been on IPFW campus because they're coming to see this specific event. So it's beneficial to both of us.
So tell me about these two artists who are performing on Sunday. You know, why don't you give us a little background on them?
Well, Pandit Shivkumar Sharma is almost an iconic artist from India. He plays a native instrument called the santoor. It's a kind of a wooden triangular instrument with probably about almost 90 strings.
Oh, wow.
And you kind of play with a couple of wooden spoons. If there is one person who deserves credit for bringing that instrument to the national stage, not just of India but of the universal music world, that genius would be Pandit Shivkumar Sharma.
So he is the expert.
The person for that.
And then the other musician?
The other musician
Zakir.
is Zakir Hussain. He's a percussionist. In most traditional Indian concerts, we do have a percussionist accompanying the main artist.
Okay.
And sometimes they are the main artist also.
Okay.
And it's usually a tandem, like a duet. They provide the basic rhythms, patterns, and the melodic patterns for this artist. And Zakir Hussain is a child prodigy. He did his initial concerts at the age of 12 or something like that.
And the instrument he plays is called
the tabla.
The tabla. Okay.
Tabla. It's a percussion instrument. It's a two-piece percussion instrument, and native to North India, basically.
And I think we've got a little video of the two of them playing. So maybe we can bring that up here and see. So we introduce everybody to what it is that they'll be singing. That is certainly something that we're not going to see here in Fort Wayne every day. You know, how do you find these artists?
Well, to begin with, we were listening to this kind of music right from childhood, so we are kind of familiar with it. But in this day and age, it is not that hard to find if you know what you're looking for. And to be very honest, what we did is to go online, find their websites, pick up the phone, and call. We have had people say no because they're too busy, but we were very fortunate to have these two gentlemen agree to come.
Well, and they travel internationally, they perform internationally.
Right, just like any traveling dance company or traveling musicians, world travelers, they're trying to put a package together. So we were contacted by their agents in New York. We did the Dean's office facilitated that communication and that contract because we're fitting into their calendar. They're coming from Atlanta, and the next day they are performing in Peoria. So it's a little bit of going to their website, but it's also getting in contact with their agents and their representatives in the United States and fitting into their calendar. We're working currently on 2 artists for next year already, and it's the same thing. We're dealing with them and with their agents to figure out how we can get into their American calendar.
We can get them on ours. Now, how would you describe the kind of music that they perform? I know we were talking earlier about that you can sort of equate it to American jazz.
I will say that I haven't heard that much of the music, and so I was asking the committee about how I could explain it to people. And when they explained it to me, it sounded like American jazz, in that they won't give to us for the program the 10 songs they're playing, because they don't do that. It seems to be a lot of improv and riffing off of melodies that are traditional. There's a whole list of traditional melodies that they know, and depending upon where one decides to go, the other follows, just like they do in American jazz.
Basically, it is a melody-based system. There are probably about 72 basic melodies that are universal, and they have their own variations, sub-melodies, etc. And you can always improvise on them. You know, the improvisations are practically limitless. And if you have a very distinct improvisation, you could give it a new name, and you go on from there. The main artist usually starts with playing the melody, introducing the melody, and then the tempo picks up, and the percussionist joins them most of the time, and then they go on with the variations. And the main artist does it and then leaves it for the other ones to kind of pick up.
So they go back and forth.
Back and forth.
So let's kind of talk about the particulars of this concert. I know that it actually is sold
Sunday
out.
at 6:30.
Okay.
We are at Reinhardt on campus, Reinhardt Music Center. That's Sunday the 14th at 6:30. It is sold out, but we anticipate having a fair amount of open seats like we always do, and so at 6:25 we will be opening the doors and telling whoever's in line. We already have a waiting list at the box office, and I encourage people to call and get on that waiting list, because while these are world-renowned and we expect a 90% turnout, a 10% not turning out is 150 seats.
Right, so there could be room for somebody
who
really
room.
wants to.
I think there'll be room for a fair amount of people, so I encourage people to come anyway. Because we'll be opening the doors at 6:25 grab a seat for that list.
So call and get yourself on the waiting
list. Or just come on Sunday get in line.
Well, great. Thank you so much for being here.
6:30 curtain.
6:30 curtain, so be there a little earlier. Great. Thank you.
Thank you for having us.
While we get ready for our next segment, please take a minute to view our performance calendar of what's coming up in our area. You also can follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. We'll be right back with Liz Monnier and Ashley Brown to hear about Fort Wayne Dance Collective's presentation of Kegwin and Company this Saturday night.